So welcome to the 20th Video Community of Practice meeting. I'm Pankaj Agrawal, founder of Next Software Solutions and working group leader of this community of practice. So let's get started. If anyone is here for the first time, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about you, your company, and how you think video community of practice will help you. Eric?
Hi, this is Eric MD. I'm with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and I'm just kind of lurking to find out what's going on.
Great.
I mean, we do a fair amount of video, and it'd be interesting to track it, and I want to see what you're coming up with.
That's nice. Christopher, have you introduced yourself before? I think you have been on meetings a few times.
Yes, I've been on a few times.
Have you introduced yourself before? I guess not.
I don't think so. I work for a company that does training for doctors and nurses, the medical profession, and we have over 300 video courses. So.
Okay, cool. So that's great. So yes, we have already done a lot of work on video community practice, build the video profile. So we are finalizing the. I think we are working on the documentation, and maybe we might make few changes as we go till we see few implementations. So a couple of people are already working on demo implementation, and those would already be useful in maybe a month or two. So let's move ahead. Let's review the 19th meeting we had last month. Okay, someone trying to join with my name. So last meeting we had decided on change of meeting schedule. Earlier we used to have meetings on first Tuesdays of every month, and we had a doodle vote, and the vote decision was that we'll have meetings on first Mondays of every month at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So this is the first meeting after the schedule change. Next thing, we had a couple of people. John Kevin, he's here. Jason Hag, he's also here. So they informed that they are working on prototypes for video community of practice. So Jason said that he's working on using JW Player library, and John Kevin is using Video.js library. We also had a decision that we'll be using Gitbooks for video profile documentation. So I've already started working on it. I've done a little bit of work. I might be able to use some help if someone else can spare some time on the documentation. I have few more updates. Maybe Jason, are you connected? Okay, he's saying that he doesn't have audio, so he can only chat. Fine, I'll tell what he informed. So Jason and John Kevin had met a couple of weeks back, and Jason said that they plan to build a common JavaScript library, and this JavaScript library will be useful in implementation of video COP, and it can be used for multiple different player libraries like Video.js, JW Player library, or other libraries. So it would be a common, maybe a wrapper library or something else. Maybe John Kevin might be able to explain better about this. So John, would you like to explain?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I started explaining this at our last meeting, and then I got cut off, and I'm sure it probably didn't make a lot of sense. So yes, our group has a project, a grant with the NIH, and as part of that project, we're doing some instructional design, which includes delivery of instruction via video. So we just wanted to take that opportunity via the grant to implement the vocabulary that we as a group had built. So when we did a little hunting around to see what we wanted to use for that, we ended up landing on video.js. So I think I mentioned that last time, but since there's new people here, I'll put the link in the chat. So video.js is just an open source framework for a Chromeless video player, which just means it's a library for playing video on a web page that lets you customize the interface and the styling and the data collection that occurs around that video. So you would essentially embed the library into your website, and then you would use a normal HTML tag, the video tag, to embed your video, and you would sort of just call video.js via that tag, and video.js will then manage the video process for you. Instead of using the default video player that typically plays with HTML stuff. So anyways, the benefit with this is that video.js has a number of extensions to it that allow it to play video from a number of sources. So for example, like Vimeo and YouTube, it plays Flash videos, etc. And you just sort of install these plugins to enhance its functionality as you need. That was necessary for us because we work with a lot of schools that have sort of odd video requirements due to state privacy laws. So an extension to that, video.js has an API that captures many of the interaction events that occur with the video and extends those beyond what are typically provided by the providers. So for example, YouTube's API does not facilitate the process of tracking seek operations with the video itself. So if you're playing a YouTube video and you click forward on the timeline, there is no event that triggers for that seeking around or scrubbing around, or whatever term you want to use for that. So video.js will pull the YouTube video, play it in its interface, and it gives us an event to track that seeking event that the user has when they click around the video. So essentially, whatever we come up with this vocab that we want to capture that seems reasonable for capturing with video, we can do it via video.js through this fairly larger community build, regardless of whether or not the video provider, Vimeo or YouTube, for example, provides a mechanism for collecting that data, which we would then put in an xAPI statement. So we picked video.js because it has a fairly large community. It's being used by some big people. There's actually a few companies that use video.js that they've built into their product. So we're going with this one because we think it makes the most sense. When it comes to extending it, what we're proposing to do is just to make an xAPI plugin. And from video.js's perspective, it's essentially just making a new function that pulls from their API the events that we want to capture, like pause and play and skip and playback speed and all that other stuff. We'll just capture those events and then send it to an xAPI statement constructor, which will then submit it to the LRS. So anyways, that's what we're doing. I had mentioned to a few people that I think the major thing we're struggling with right now on this development is the security aspect of it, because this is JavaScript. Putting in, you have to put the LRS credentials in the JavaScript if you wanted to sort of keep it all within video.js, which would not be a particularly secure way of doing it. So on our side, we have used a PHP sort of intermediary to capture the JavaScript, use the credentials, and submit it to the LRS and verify it's not a duplicate prior to submission. So we're just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. We may just make the video.js version, just like the xAPI JavaScript library for statement generation. Just leave it open like that and let people do what they want to do with it. But on our side, we'll probably also share a PHP library for security purposes for those people who don't want that information to be public, for whatever reason that might be. And for our case, it's for FERPA reasons. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully that makes sense, but happy to answer any questions that might exist.
So in case of PHP library, the constructor will construct the statements and send it back to your PHP, which will be actually sending the statements.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, our LRS is behind our local intranet. So in order to even access it, you have to have a couple different layers of credentials. So, but yeah, we have it submitted on our back end.
Mm-hmm.
The PHP manages that.
Okay, cool. So that's great. That's great information, and it'll be really useful for video profile adaptation, and it'll really help everyone else, including me. So that's really good. So if you need any help, any clarity, any help, uh, we would be there to help you.
I know that I'll be coming back to the community probably next month or the month after to bounce some ideas around about the heat map, which I think I remember sharing that many meetings ago. But as I think about it, it's a little conceptually hard to think about the best way of building that. And so I could use some opinions on that when we get to that stage.
Yeah, definitely. I had also seen your comments on heat map, so maybe we'll discuss it in this meeting. Okay, great. So the next thing from Jason, okay. So Jason sent some updates regarding what is happening in ADL. So he said there was a meeting last month, and there was discussion about profiles as well. So there'll be some more work going on in ADL, some more funding and some more work going on regarding defining schema for xAPI profiles. It'll be something similar to what Caliper is doing, and it'll be able to use work that has been going on regarding vocabulary in xAPI. There'll be some centralization of vocabulary servers. Maybe the tin can registry will go together with vocabulary that ADL is building. So there'll be some more work on vocabulary and schema side of things, and this might be implemented with video profile that we are creating as well. So there will be some updates in this, some more progress in this, and some more work that we might be doing regarding this in months to come. I believe there'll be some similarity to the JSON LD approach that metric profiles in IMS is using in IMS Caliper. So there might be something similar to it if it works with xAPI. Okay, so that's all for the updates. Let's move ahead. So if you see this link, I'll share the link here. If you see this link, it contains the vocabulary that is published for video profile. Jason has published this profile. There are some corrections, some changes that I had mentioned, and some more comments that John Keevan has made on this. Let me check. Just a second.
If you don't have Hypothesis installed, which is the tool that we were using to comment back and forth on this, I'm putting a link in the chat that lets you you don't need to install it. You can just click that link and it'll feed the page through Hypothesis' little front end there. That'll make all the comments visible. You can choose to install Hypothesis if you want. It's free and open source, built off annotate.js. Or you can just use that link and not worry about the install, and you can still comment.
Yeah, so to be able to see the thing here in the right, the comments that are made, you can either install Hypothesis plugin, which is available in Chrome, or you can click that link and it might be able to load that without installation. So John has said that maybe we can use, instead of using this string, which can be confusing for a lot of people, maybe we can use JSON object. I've replied to that comment, and basically we had used this kind of string just because it was used in one other place in the xAPI spec. No very good reason why we are using this. It is used here for pairs of strings, I would say. So in this case, it is for matching type of interaction, SCORM interaction, and this correct response pattern has Ben.3 and then Chris.2, Troy.4, Reddy.1. So these are all pairs. Commas are separating the pairs, and dots are two sides of the pair. So dots are like equal to, and commas are like next line. Because I had seen this in this spec, we decided to use this. No very good reason why we cannot use objects. So unless there is objection on using this string, we can if there is strong objection on using string, we can move to objects, no problem. Otherwise, this string can be easily converted to object in programming. If you are not able to understand what it is, these pairs, if you see 0.00 and then this dot separator 12.00, so this means that from 0 to 12 seconds the user has seen the video, and then comma means a separate pair. So from 14 to 21 is another part of the video that user has seen. Then another pair is 18 to 30. So in this case, from 21 he moved back to 18. So seeing this string, we can understand that the user saw the video from 0 to 12 seconds, then seeked to 14, and from 14 to 21 he watched the video, and from 21 seconds he moved back, that is seeked back to 18 seconds, and then from there he watched till 30 seconds. So this is the information that this heat map string gives, and this can be easily converted to a heat map image. So if anyone needs help on understanding how this can be used to convert to heat map image, I might be able to help there if required. And if someone creates some demos or some examples, explanations, it might be able to help everyone. So any questions on this? Hello?
None from my perspective. I think we just need to get into the thick of building it and just see how it comes out. I had another comment after yours. It doesn't seem to be loading it, but my thought was mainly just that my group will end up mocking up what our heat map will look like and trying to reverse engineer the best way to give the data to that. And so that would likely be a decreased visualization to generate it most efficiently. So
if you are using HTML, I had done an experiment. You can simply have divs and
Mhm.
divs with an alpha. So if you have an alpha transparency in the div, you can overlap multiple divs, and when two divs with some alpha coloring overlap, the color will be darker there. So it is kind of very simple. You overlap multiple divs of these sizes from 0 to 12 seconds, from 14 to 21 seconds, 18 to 30 seconds. It can be pixels or multiple of pixels, and then you overlap them. When they overlap, you will be able to see darker color. So if there are three divs overlapping, it will be darker than two, and then darker two will be darker than one. So
did you use that data structure, the 0.00 period?
yeah,
Use that one.
this can be used. I just did an experiment, so I didn't write the entire script. I just saw if we can create that effect easily with divs.
Yeah, I think my biggest question is going to be, I'm not sure I'm going to know this until we get to see some data, is if in real life interpretation, doing sort of layering over of various opacity level rectangles or whatever it would be to show the heat map is going to be visually consumable, or if it needs to be some pre-processing on top of that builds ranges in which you know, some scaled level of view ends up showing like 25, 50%, 75, 100% of people rewatch this instead of instead of just kind of like layering it on top of each other. Anyways, the point being is that I don't think we'll know the best way to visualize it until we try to solve it. So, but I'm glad to hear that you tried it and it seemed to work fine for you. So I look forward to getting my hands dirty on it at some point.
If you're talking about visualization, the effect of visualization or the end result of visualization, Wistia has a similar kind of heat map. So, if you see, let me see if we had a sample image.
I seem to remember, yeah, this one. So, I'll share it if you want to see it. Yeah, and I think this is what I'm talking about, right? I mean, they have scales here. I mean, unless there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 people watching this video, and or something like that. So that they clearly do some sort of, I used the wrong word earlier, it's actually post-processing of the data to sort of stratify it. So, but yeah, I mean, this makes sense, and I think this would be awesome. I know as an instructional designer, I would love to see this on the videos that we share, and I imagine our CDC colleague Eric would like to see something like that too.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting once we see some implementations. We'll know the good and bad sides of it, and if some improvements are required. So once we have some demos, some example implementations, we can have feedback from you and maybe Anthony and some other people here. I think most of the people here are having real requirements of video reporting and visualization, and once we have feedback from them, we'll be able to improve on it if required. So that's great. So going to the next comment that you had regarding width and height. Let's see what it is. Sorry. Yes. So this 800 by 600, 1080 by 960, 640 by 480. I have already commented here, but I would like to explain again that the idea was to use the most common, most popular way of representing the size, and this 800 by 600 or 640 by 480. These are common, usable, popular representation. So we decided to use it. Converting it to object would be very easy in any programming language. So probably using this string is useful. if there is strong reason to change it to object, we can change it.
Yeah, I commented on all these again after you commented on it, and yeah, that
Okay.
seems fine. I can't think of a reason why you would separate it into an object. I was just curious as to what the rationale was for using.
So right now I'm not. Maybe I'll reload this. Yeah, now I can see your comments.
But yeah, that makes sense to me. Like I said, I can't think of a reason why you would want to only look for the width. So, I mean, you could always break up that text itself, but I don't know why you would do that to begin with. So, I suppose it doesn't mean it won't happen, but we could probably wait for a use case where it makes sense to do that.
Okay, cool. So I think most of your comments are clear and done. So there was one more GitHub page that had some comments that I had sent to Jason. I'm looking for it where it is. So there is a separate GitHub page that Jason had created, and I had sent some feedbacks. So anyone working on these vocabularies, it would be great if you can go and check, see if there are any issues, any mistakes, any corrections required. It would be great. Jason has also published the Jason video JSON file. So this is, he has also published this. I can share the link here. Just a second. So this JSON schema he has published. If there is anything there, any corrections, changes required, you can comment on that as well. There are some issues that I had created. So if you have time to see, respond, resolve, you can take a look on these. I'm sharing the link here on the chat. So is there anyone who has worked on these RDF turtle and JSON RD schemas? No, maybe. Okay, so let's come back to documentation. So
Quick question for you. In these in the tickets, the issues under Jason's video profile vocab, I should probably know this, but what does TTL stand for?
TTL?
So yeah, in issue 3, you're talking about the verb ID for pause in TTL, published vocabulary.
Yeah, so this is the RDF turtle format of the vocabulary. Jason has published the RDF turtle, so that file is in .ttl format. So
Oh, that's a format. Okay, I'm just not familiar with it. Got it.
Jason is saying, I plan to address the feedback from John via hypothesis and from Pankaj via GitHub. Okay, cool. Yes, I have also replied to the feedback from John. If you have anything additional you want to address, maybe Jason, you can address those. Eric, yes, we had a sample image that mock image that would look similar to a heat map. Yes, finally, once we have some demo, we'll be able to know how it looks.
Eric, I put a link in there. So the idea came from Wistio's page. So the link in there is an overview of some of the analytics features they provide as part of their service. So the goal for us has been just try and build some of these things ourselves so that we can share this for free to the rest of the community. So for those who can't afford to pay for Wistia or other players. But anyways, that link takes you to their stats overview page, which discusses their, I don't know, just their rationale or their discussion bits about the heat map.
Yeah, so this is the sample image. The idea is taken from Wistia, so but it's pretty good and pretty interesting. Once we have some real implementation and some feedback from real usage, we'll be able to know how useful it is and what improvements can be done if required. But I believe it should be pretty useful. And that heat map string can be comparatively easily converted to these images. So that's the entire idea, to be able to generate these kind of heat map images, which can be easy to understand for management, and to be able to understand which learner is doing what with the videos, and what parts of videos are useful, what parts of videos are watched a lot, what parts of the videos are skipped a lot, so that the videos can be improved, as well as the performance from the learners can be understood.
Yeah, and I think for me the most exciting part, I mean, the heat map's cool. I do like it, and I'm looking forward to us being able to do this in an open source method. But what's always more exciting to me about xAPI is using this information in relationship to other data, like student outcomes, student participation, learning events, so forth. Other data that we can use to relate to the heat map to come up with more meaningful improvements to our instruction.
Yeah, so the data can be used with to correlate with other outcomes or other inputs, and you could analyze what effects these videos are having on the learners, how they are performing in other aspects related to the video. So yes, xAPI is really useful in those kind of scenarios, and once we have more implementations, we will be able to see more of those kind of reports, and maybe improve on the profile to be able to build those reports, those correlations better in future. So far, I haven't seen much of the correlation reports or things like that. There might be few LRSs or few people reporting on those kind of things. So yes, coming to the documentation for video profile. So this is where we are currently in Gitbooks. I see that this introduction page you see on the left it is automatically generated from the readme.md file. So it is the default file. We cannot remove this file, but you see, it contains the general information about the video cognitive practice. On the summary page, it is an auto-generated table of contents for all the other chapters or all the other links on the left you see. Overview, I have created this page. Maybe we can remove this and use the introduction tab. So I have created this overview page for having basic information about the video cognitive practice and required some scope requirements or anything like that. Then we have the statement data model. Currently, I haven't added anything here. It is pretty much blank. Next, we have references. So in this, I have added few references, mostly copied from other profile like CMI5. And then we have glossary. So these are definitions of words and glossary of words. This glossary page is automatically generated. I can add more words for glossary from here. So basically, this is where we are currently with the documentation. The main part is the statement data model. We have to add each elements of the statement and then the vocabulary, verb, and activity. So the format that I think or we had discussed in the last meeting that we can use is from the CMI5 spec. This
Is there a link
what,
to that Git book in the general information Google Doc?
wait. I don't know if you will be able to open the edit page. Try these two links. So this xAPI statement data model, this is how CMI5 has done it. Statement ID, actor, verbs. So the main part is the verbs. So each verb is explained. And in the object, result, score. The key part would be the verb and extensions. In our case, we have several verbs that we have defined. So each verb that we are using should be explained there, and then each extension that we have in the vocabulary has to be explained here. So if anyone else is able to work, maybe you can help here, or I'll also try to work on this and complete as soon as possible. We can copy a lot from the CMI5 spec, the format and those stuff.
The first link did not work for me, but the second one.
Okay, that's cool. So the first link was the edit page, so maybe some permissions are required. If you can ask for permission, I can provide if required. Uh, if you're working on it, maybe one way could be that you can fork the main GitHub page.
The one under Jason's account?
No. I'll give you. This is the main GitHub page, that is GitHub repository that is actually being updated. So any change I make on Gitbook, it updates this Git repository. Every change will update this one. So you can go to this repository, fork it, make changes, and then you can send the pull request.
All right, so good.
And to be able to make changes using Gitbook, you can log into gitbook.com and then select your repository. It'll ask for permissions. You can give the permissions, and then you'll be able to see the same book.
I'll have to poke around with that later.
It takes around 5 to 10 minutes to set up. So anyone can commit some help.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll have to set this up for myself, and then take it from there.
If you face any issues, you can email me and we can work together. Any other questions? Anything else?
I'm good. Hopefully I'll have more to show you guys on the video.js stuff next time we meet. Just see how project stuff goes.
Yeah, I'm also waiting to see that. So should we end here today? A little early.
It's fine with me. Just there are new, I don't know if our new people found this interesting. Anything in specific they were looking to get out of it. If so, feel free to say so.
This is Christopher. The library code for you were using video.js is interesting me. I don't use video.js. I use JPlayer because video.js is a little bit more difficult to, I guess, embed and make single-page apps with. But I'd be interested in the. I didn't see a link to that to what you're doing.
We haven't built it yet, so so it's not too late for us to consider a different library if you think JPlayer is a better choice. I think we picked the one we did because at the time it just seemed like the best choice, but we didn't do an exhaustive review of all the existing JavaScript video players. So if you have a compelling reason to switch to JPlayer, I'd be more than happy to look at that one as an alternative.
Well, I mean, they're both very good. I think Video.js is probably better if you're just going to put video tags in pages and get information from them. But in my application, I'm actually loading JavaScript code to play video using AJAX calls and then executing it dynamically. And Video.js did not prove and could be me, but I couldn't get it to work very well. So that was just my issue. But if you had some sort of a general library design or API or something, I might be interested in helping do a JPlayer version of as well.
All right, yeah, that sounds
good. It's similar to what they do, right? They just hooked it to events and then just send out statements, right? So
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not complicated.
So it would just be, yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, whatever we did for Video.js, I'm sure would probably mostly translate straight to JPlayer. Would be my guess.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If there was a clear API and you kind of divide the library in two, one the part that hooked into the event system and the separate one that actually did the sending out the xAPI calls, then you could integrate it with multiple players.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because CDC we use JS Player. We use JS Player. So coming up with a way to make a plugin for JS Player would be interesting too.
JS.
Yeah. So, well, I think you mean Video.js, right? Or is there a library called JS Player? They're all the same.
Hang on, let me look up.
Okay.
Let's
see.
But
what we'll probably end up doing is I'm hoping that we can start our GitHub repo and start looking at writing some code for for capturing the events and writing the basic data we want to pass to the statements this month. So what I would suggest we do is give me a chance, my team a chance to begin something to put it together, and then maybe we can have a deeper conversation next month about the most efficient way of passing that off to, or building it in a way that also translates well to JPlayer and any other potential video library applications that may exist. But thanks for bringing up JPlayer. I will also bring it to my team as well.
Yeah, actually, I think it's JW Player.
JW Player. I think that's the one that Jason was originally looking at.
Yeah.
And that one's commercial.
Yeah.
Right, which is why we didn't pick it.
That's weird. I'm not positive because I doubt we're using a commercial one either.
I think they have a entry-level free version that's just, if there's not enough views or something, it doesn't kick over to its paid version. So maybe
I think it is paid for commercial use. So
yeah,
conditional.
Even if you were using JPlayer, again, it's probably more than likely whatever we build for any one of these libraries is going to translate fairly well to the other ones. So it's probably not a big deal. It's just more of probably a question of what's best for your development purposes and how many things do we want to maintain. Are the two questions.
Yeah, and hooking the general calls into the events is going to be just a small little stub library that's going to kind of interface with it. So it's the stuff that actually takes that and actually packages, defines an interface and then takes that data and actually normalizes it and sends it out. It's going to be the bulk of the work.
Yeah, so once we have a framework, sample framework, then it could be translated to other players. Okay, so
is JW Player open? Library is governed by the Creative Commons license. Non-commercial use. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. So the library, you can look at the library, or you can look at its code, but it's for non-commercial purposes only. Right?
Yep.
I think I want to say JW and JS are more permissive, but I have to look at it a little closer.
It's free for non-commercial use. So it is not open source, but it is free for non-commercial use.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense why we can use it, but other folks might not be able to. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also makes more sense for using video to JS then. But if the code base can work.
And is JPlayer, what's the license for JPlayer? Is that one also more permissive? Do they use, does anybody have to know?
Yeah, it's also open source. It's just jQuery based as opposed to video.js.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. jQuery.
Video.js is excellent. So I'm not disparaging it in any way. It's really a good and popular system. We use it for some things.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
It looks very popular. You search for anything, Video.js would come at the top. And there are a lot of plugins for different types of videos. I would say there are plugins for YouTube and Wistia, Vimeo, everything. Okay, so I think we can end it here today, and let's meet next month.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye. Have a good time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.